kept filming. Okay, the next thing that happened was that people showed up and started taking down the set in the background. While they were filming, they were taking the rocks, picking up the heavy rocks. Okay. And the actors continued to go through their lines. And they continued to film the show. They just could not believe that they were canceling the show. They pretended that they were. And they actually filmed the show with the set being moved in the background and went through their lines and did all this stuff and shot people and had the one. And that's exactly, our faculty's just like that.
Back here in the blue shirt.
One of Dale's faculty members here.
He disagrees with me, so you're okay.
Yeah, first off, Dale, you are the epitome of the self-fulfilling prophecy. You're absolutely correct. If we take monetary policy off the table, if we take fiscal policy off the table, you're absolutely right. We're doomed. But I'm hoping that people like you don't prevail come November 2nd, because it's important that we keep monetary policy on the table. We've got to allow the Fed to engage in stimulus. The important thing is to do what Grubman warned us we should not do, which is to appoint bad people, such as Alan Greenspan. When Alan Greenspan was appointed, Grubman was all over him. He said, this guy's incompetent, he's in over his head, he doesn't know what he's doing. We need strong people like what Carter appointed, such as Paul Volcker. Paul Volcker was a good Fed chair. It comes down to people at that level, and the other speaker here is absolutely right. We're going to make mistakes. We're human. We're going to get better or worse people, but we can't take monetary policy off the table. We're in big trouble. With respect to fiscal policy, what we're talking about is the Stimulus Act. Remember, Keynesian, it's only been really used once, and it was a fabulous success. It was used to get us out of the Great Depression, and we called it World War II. That was an enormous spending plan. It was an enormous employment plan. It enabled employment all over the world. Too bad, obviously that's not the kind of stimulus package any of us want. We don't want millions of people to die. But the point is if we get something, a stimulus package along the size of World War II spending, we're not going to get out of this. So if you're going to take fiscal policy off the table and monetary policy off the table, then you're absolutely right. We're doomed. But we need some kind of major job program. And I agree with you, it can't be permanent type of spending, but it's got to be a job program. And a major job program along the size, relative to the world global economy, along the size World War II was to the global economy at that time. I think if you use Keynesian principles, they'll work. All the evidence is on Grubman's side. And
It is a joke. And we just disagree. World War II was not a Keynesian thing. There's a lot of distinctions between a war and a Keynesian.
it was a massive spending program.
Yes, but that doesn't
It was a
mean
job
that it's
program.
a Keynesian program. There's a lot of distinctions there. But look,
Not from a stimulus fiscal plan.
Yes, it does.
It was an enormous amount of spending.
A world
beyond
war
GDP.
is not like other things. Right? A world war is not analogous to other things.
Well, obviously that's a silly thing to say. But, but the point is, from an economic standpoint, it's identical. It's a jobs program.
No, it's not. It was not.
But really the key point to be made here is it was a housing bubble in part, and it was caused entirely by that exception in the bankruptcy code. It's the only contract that bankruptcy courts don't have the power to redo. Every other contract they have the power to do, and I think that provides banks with an enormous amount of incentive to give mortgages to folks who have absolutely no business getting mortgages. And those are the kind of regulatory reform that we need, but with the way campaigns are financed and the types of people that are getting elected, meaningful regulatory.
I agree with you in one respect. I usually find a little island of agreement in what you say. And the bankruptcy codes should be used heavily, and they need to be rethought. That's correct. I agree with that. I would put General Motors into bankruptcy. Absolutely. Would have thrown them into bankruptcy and make sure the bankruptcy process worked for them. I would reform
And
them.
you read this book?
Yes. In fact, you weren't there. We had a little meeting on that book at the faculty. You didn't show. Well, wait a minute, you were there. No, you didn't show. Did you show up for our first book club meeting?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, we went through the whole book.
Purposely
That book is written by a is barred from trading for 2 years by the SEC because he was given kickbacks to the Public Pension Fund of New York. That's the guy who wrote the book. He was the guy that bailed out General Motors. That's the problem we have. You inevitably have these personnel problems. And just to say, well, if we had like Hercules, Plato like Hercules guy in government, things would work out. That's the inevitable problem that people aren't like that.
Yeah, so
you don't have a perfect decision.
Let me butt in a little bit and say, one thing I really try to think about is whether we fall into nirvana fallacy. If we do this, then what? Compared to what other choices? Right? So one choice is we have ideal regulation, and as a conservative, that always bugs me because I think we can't have ideal regulation. We're going to have a lot of mistaken regulation. The question is, are we better off with regulation that's going to have some mistakes, or are we better off with none at all? And the none at all, to me, that's the Garden of Eden fallacy, right? We go back to
but no conservative believes in none at all.
But before the Fed crawled off a tree and
that's a strong. That's a strong.
Right. So
I don't believe in no regulation. I believe in anti-fraud rules. I believe in all sorts of regulation. So to create a straw man of no regulation doesn't help the debate either.
Right. So the question then is, how do you get the best kind of regulation? And to me, that's the key question that's not being asked. And it's pinned to quote-unquote political realities. Right? Maybe we can't, because of congressional committee turf wars, we can't get rid of the stupidity of having the CFTC and the SEC with their split jurisdictions, which leads to all kinds of problems. There are other things I think we could do, but people aren't asking, as far as I can tell, the regulatory design question. What kind of regulatory design, what kind of design for the agencies, and this is really a public choice sort of political theory kind of question, will lead to making fewer mistakes and smaller mistakes. So that was one of the pieces that I think is crucial here. The other piece on mortgage modification, I just want to, it sounds like we're all in agreement on that, but it's crucial that people understand. And I keep on not understanding why this fails to go through, other than it's just a political goodie for the mortgage lenders. And I think that's the best explanation. I'm not really sure about it though, because I don't understand how the mortgage lenders have the other lenders in their thrall so much, because the people it hurts the most are the other lenders. And one of the reasons they're hurting right now is this goodie that the mortgage lenders have, and it has to do. Okay, so I could explain why I think that's the case economically, but it would take too long. So I'll stop there. But if people want to talk more about that, I'd love to.
All right, I want to thank everyone for coming. Let's give a one round of applause for